What's up, guys? It's Chad with Living the Van Life up here in Washington. It's October, well, it's late at night on October 31st. It's actually November 1st, but we're going to call it October 31st, 2018. And it's raining outside because you know what? It's fall time in the Pacific Northwest, and that just means rain. So, yeah, today's subject, I want to ask you guys, how do you know when you've made it? That is probably one of the questions that I have continually asked myself. And it actually kind of started back in the day when I used to be able to work with a lot of famous motocross riders and racers that I had the opportunity to work with and interview, and quite frankly I spent a lot of time idolizing these guys and wishing that I could be these guys and finding inspiration in these guys. And so I found it to be a very interesting conversation piece to ask these guys on camera of how do you know when you've made it. And it was great because a lot of other journalists, you know, would ask your typical question of, oh, how's the track today, or how, you know, what'd you do to prepare for today's race? And I wanted to know more than that. I wanted to know, you know, what these guys thought, guys that I'd looked up to, guys that I'd found so much inspiration to, and, you know, thought these guys, shit, if I could be where these guys were, I will have made it. So I wanted to know what their version of the answer to that question is. And so anyways, it became one of my favorite questions to ask these riders. And I quickly realized that, actually I take that back. It wasn't quickly realized. I realized years later, as I've been continually pursuing my dream of becoming a filmmaker and making good films and good content and just trying to be something in life, I realized that I was asking that question more so for myself. Not necessarily just a good interview piece, but really that I wanted to know, and that was an answer that I wanted to know. Because I tell you what, chasing dreams, whether you want to be a filmmaker, a photographer, you want to live in the van, you know, you want to live in your van and travel around the world, you want to travel to South America, you want to circumvent, whatever it is, like whatever it is you aspire to do, you're chasing your dream. And it's not an easy thing to do. It's sacrifice, it's hard work, it's passion, it's obsession, it's all of the above. And there's nothing easy about it. And yeah, you know, when you get to those moments where it actually pays off and it feels good and you get to stand on the top of the mountain for a little bit and think like, all right, it feels good to be here. It feels good to be doing this. But you know what? With that comes frickin' hours and days and weeks and months and sometimes years of hard work and sacrifice that are not fun. And you can find yourself down and depressed and struggling and financially broke and mentally broke and physically broke, all from trying to do something with your life and chase these dreams. And through all that struggle, so many times you find yourself, well, how do I know when I've made it? How do you know when you've made it? Because those are those moments where you get to stand at the top of the mountain and think like, yeah, okay, I did it. But I feel like the mountain just keeps getting higher, and the climb keeps getting harder and harder. And one thing that they always say, one thing you always hear is that 90% of people, I don't know what the exact number is, but a huge percentage of people fail one step before making it to the top. And I don't ever want to be one of those people. And I don't think anybody ever watching this video wants to be one of those people. But the truth in the matter is, like, how do you know when you've made it to the top? Yeah, I don't know. That's one thing I've always asked myself. And the best answer that I can figure out is that the day that I feel like I've made it might as well be the day that I hang it up and retire and I'm done. Because what is the motivation to keep going beyond that? If you feel like you've made it, then what's your motivation to keep going? So I guess over the years I've found comfort in realizing that, all right, well, that's my answer, you know, like I'm going to use that as my motivation to keep on going, because I want to continually seek that. I want to continually seek making it. But I tell you what, after working through this film, we find ourselves in a situation coming back from Australia. For those of you that have been following along, the last two videos know that just got back from Australia. We've been working on this film since July of 2016. That's 2 years. Been all over the world filming this. Spent the last 3 months in Australia doing post-production, and find ourselves back in the United States in a bit of a reality check, finishing this film on our own, just realizing that this film has been the ultimate test to see how bad do you want it. It's been the ultimate test. Through financial struggles, through physical struggles, through mental struggles, through struggles of figuring out how to get ourselves to South America, to Bonneville in the United States, how to get ourselves to Australia. And I think that's where you start questioning that fine line between passion and obsession. There's a fine line, and if you stop to think about it, you'll realize what I'm talking about. It's one thing to be passionate about it, be willing to sacrifice, be able to, be willing to push the limits for something that you love doing because you love doing it and nothing else matters. But at what point does it cross that line into obsession, where it almost becomes unhealthy and you start sacrificing things that maybe you shouldn't sacrifice in life to get there? But maybe one fuels the other. Maybe you need a little bit of obsession to fuel that passion. But anyways, nonetheless, that's one thing I'm struggling with right now. Is A, how do you know when you've made it? I'll always be asking myself that question. And I'd like to think that I've got answers of what's making it. But I also do wonder, okay, this passion of making this film, completing this film, but completing this film in such a way that it inspires other people. Our film's about the motorcycle land speed record, basically the world's fastest motorcycle. And these guys are chasing speeds of close to 400 miles an hour. The record right now sits at 376. But guys, the crazy thing about this story is the fact that this isn't NASCAR. This isn't Formula One. This isn't Le Mans, where there's millions and millions and millions of dollars at stake. There's not millions and millions of dollars to make as a career at this sport of motorcycle land speed racing. It's absolutely minimal. These guys are doing it for the glory. And this particular story that we're following is a guy who's been chasing it for 50 years. And there's no money, there's no fame. This is a line out of the movie. This is how the guy puts it. But it's a story of these guys following their passion, because they want to stand at the top of the mountain and have the glory of saying, you know what? I did it. I chased that record. I've pushed, pulled, prodded my way all the way to having the world's fastest motorcycle. And that's what these guys are doing it for. And so that's the story that we're chasing. Because in real life, that's the story that I'm chasing. I want to build a career that I can be happy with and inspire others with. And I guess maybe that's where you make it. And that's where I want to be. And the fact of I cannot even begin to tell you what we've been through on this film to be able to tell that story. Because that's what I want to do with this film, is I want to inspire people by telling the story of these people who have a very inspiring story to tell. These guys that are spent their whole lives just to get a motorcycle land speed record. The amount of passion that's behind that and the amount of inspiration just to see these old guys still after it 50 years later, putting everything on the line, traveling all the way around the world. These guys, they travel to Bonneville here in Utah in the United States. And when that doesn't work, when they don't get it there, then they travel to Bolivia in South America, to third world countries. They ship their whole entire race program down there. And when that doesn't work, then they go to Australia and they ship their whole entire race program, all just to have that glory of saying, I've got the world's fastest motorcycle. Like I said, there's no millions of dollars to be made there. There's no money to be made at all. It's just for the glory. And sometimes that's the way I feel like that's where I'm at with trying to chase this dream of being a filmmaker. It all started with living in a van, and that was a sacrifice that I was willing to make to get there. And years later, still fighting, pushing, prodding, hoping to get there, back living in the van, because I want to make a difference with it all. And right now, this moment, these days of being back in the United States is the ultimate test of myself, of the three other guys that I'm working on this with. We're really struggling right now trying to figure out the best way. And it's been a financial struggle, it's been a physical struggle, it's been a mental struggle. It's been a struggle to get to all three of these different continents, to capture the footage in a way that will inspire other people. But it's the ultimate test to see if we want to do it. So, guys, that's what I ask you guys to think about. And whatever it is that you're doing, why you're living in a van, why you're thinking about living in a van, think about that. Think about what you can do with that question and how you can use it for your motivation of how do you know when you've made it? And also, where's that fine line between passion and obsession? And how can you use that to help better your cause? And learning, does one fuel the other? Are you getting too far into the obsession and losing sight of the passion? It's important things to think about. And especially if you can harness all that energy and use it to push your momentum forward, then you know what? All the power to you. Because that's the important stuff in life. And that's what's going to keep pushing you through in those moments where you're like, fuck it. I don't want to be doing this anymore. Hopefully you can drag yourself back up and realize that. And use that energy to keep going. So anyways, guys, I know I'm rambling on. That was something on my head all through this evening of trying to figure out how to do it. And, maybe it's like a little bit of that therapy of just talking to you guys about it that helps me just process it all and ground myself of where it's at and why, I started living in this van and why I'm still doing this van life. And also why, it's a passion to be able to talk to you guys and hearing your guys' feedback. And everybody's comments of what this YouTube channel has done for your guys' life. Guys, talking about inspiration. I mean, that shit gives me goosebumps just thinking about how this YouTube channel has helped inspire you guys. And being able to read your guys' comments on the videos is what gets me back in this van and turn my phone on and start creating these videos. So I want to thank you guys for that, because you guys have been a huge inspiration to keep me going through all this when I've questioned myself of what the fuck am I doing here? So anyways, it's one day at a time. Got to keep on charging. Got to keep on trucking. That was one of the terms that came up a long time ago with living the van life, and keep on trucking, because that's what we got to do to do something with our lives and make something of it. So anyways, guys, I'm going to leave you with that. I'm going to go hit the hay. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. If you're going to hit the dislike button, I would love to hear why you dislike whatever it is about the video. So that helps me put out better content. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for everybody being part of this and all the support. Peace out. Keep on trucking.